Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy weekend. Well, actually, we're almost to Sunday and Super Bowl and the fervor that comes with it, but I really want to talk about this particular coin. Okay, as I had pointed out right from the onset of the video, could this be the rarest transitional error ever? Okay, for those of you that don't know what a transitional error is, okay, let's bring up some of the more well-known coins that are known as transitional errors. For example, the 1943 Lincoln cent was intended to be struck in steel. Okay, they're a neat oddity, only because they look nothing like all the other dates around it. And up to this point, we know of the Lincoln cents as being either copper or copper-plated zinc. Okay, so they really do look like copper. However, there's been a small handful of coins that were struck in 1943 on the older copper planchets from 41 and 42. Okay, they had a few extras, they threw it in the hopper, and there you go. You have a coin that has sold for upwards of $1 million in the past. So that's what a transitional is. Okay, it's when there's a change in the composition from one year to the other. Another famous transitional would be 1964. Whether it's a dime or half dollar or quarter, okay, it's been known that in 1965, which is the first year of clad copper nickel coinage, that a few errant silver planchets have been somehow kind of thrown into the copper nickel planchets for 1965, and a few of those 90% silver that we all know and love were struck as 1965. And there are a few in existence, same with the dimes. This particular one, though, in 1942, actually it was in 1941, where they began to make the transition because of World War II from copper nickel to what they call wartime silver. Okay, so they're trying to pull back on the nickel for strategic war use, to craft and create everything that they needed at the time. The new coinage between 1942 and 1945 would be 56% copper, 35% silver, and of course that little funky 9% manganese, which it's that component in conjunction with the silver that over time a war nickel would turn kind of a grayish, bluish green. Okay, so they would look really dark and ugly. But it's silver. Okay, the coins in themselves, completely worn this day and age, is worth about $1. So they're worth money. So at this time, as you can see, the coin right here that I have illustrated, the wartime silver nickels would have the large mint mark on the reverse above Monticello. All right, that's more one of the more common knowledge type information that we all know about coin collecting, because this is a fairly recent series. Okay, it's a short series that's very fun, easy to collect, even in the higher grades. You could assemble a higher grade set of war nickels from 42 to 45 for about $50. I've done it a million times, so can you. So during this time in 1942, when they have that big giant mint mark on the reverse, okay, there was supposed to be no copper nickel planchets in the batch intended for wartime silver. So a few of them have made it into the hoppers of the manganese silver planchets. And this coin that you see here before you, a 1943p, was struck. This coin is not silver. It's supposed to be. This is one of those earlier copper nickel planchets that they used in 1940 and 41 and part of 42. This, my friends, is a rarity. 3 or 4 of them have been graded. 1, maybe 2 of them have sold in auction. This particular one sold on eBay. They have in case you're curious, at the end of the video, I will post the auction number. It sold in November, and I had the pleasure of talking to the owner for a split second on one of my Facebook groups. It's a variety coin group, easy to find. And he regrets selling it. I told him that, you know what, you sold this thing for a song. Okay, he had it for $20,000 or best offer. He sold it for $11,000, guys. For one of the more rare transitional coins. It pales into comparison the 1983 copper, okay, which is supposed to be zinc, by the way, that's sold for, at one point, as much as 5 times the amount of money that this gentleman sold this coin for. So I wanted to throw it out there. There are rarities like this. Now, how do you differentiate the wartime silver and a nickel planchet transitional error such as this? It's easy, but it's not really easy. Okay, you can't go by weight alone because both of them are 5 grams apiece. So you can't weigh them because the weight will be the same. The only other way to find out if it's in this condition is to do one of 2 things. The common sense thing, but I don't advise it because it might damage a coin, is to do a drop test. The difference in sound between a copper nickel and a wartime silver nickel is very distinguishable. Silver gives it that higher ping. Okay, see, and plus, if the coin is well worn, it's going to be a dark grayish blue. So right off the bat, that's going to be a dead giveaway. However, a coin that's copper nickel, kind of worn, is going to look more light gray. All right, if you do a drop test, okay, it's going to have a duller sound than one that's silver. Again, I don't advise it because you could damage a coin and affect the value. Okay, so the more other secondary kind of option would be to do a, I guess what they call a gravity test. It's a test that you would have to go to a lab, or maybe your local coin store might have it. I know there's one up here in Northern California that actually has the little ray gun that they use to determine the composition of coins. Okay, they use it mostly for the gold and silver to prevent counterfeiting. But it's that type of machinery. It could be expensive. If you went to an actual lab at a college or a university, they could charge you upwards of $5,000 for this test on a coin. And I wouldn't advise that. I would just check out your local coin shop, see if they have one of those ray gun machines. 90% of them won't, so you're gonna have to call around. If it were me, I'd be doing the drop test, only because I you know, if a coin is worn, it's not really gonna affect anything. But I wanted to just throw this out there. These coins do exist. Okay, anytime you have the change of one metal to another in any series of coinage, there's a high probability that one of these transitional errors might exist. This is one such example. There are plenty more 1943 and 44 transitional errors than there are this coin. So it's definitely worth mentioning. Again, I want to thank everyone for chiming in on this one. It's a hoot to talk about, because I just literally got off the computer a day ago with a guy, and we exchanged back and forth a couple times, and it's crazy that he was able to find one of these coins in a batch of wartime silver nickels, and it just looked funny. It got him $11,000, but you know, I feel like that maybe this one should be in the upper 5 figures, $75,000 to $100,000. You just don't see these every day, guys. But anyways, I digress. You know, transitional errors, wartime silver, this and that. You know, keep an eye out for anything strange and funny and unusual, without overthinking it, because if you overthink it, you know, you're going to be looking for the wrong stuff. It was a pleasure. Blue Ridge Silverhound, thanks you, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a nice evening.